Have you ever seen the giant catches of fish that Asian fishermen make? The moments when the ocean seems to explode as tons of silvery fish are pulled up from the depths. Behind that majestic scene is a huge industry, where modern fishing boats ply the waves day and night, from the cold waters of Japan to the tropical fishing grounds of Vietnam. Indonesia and the Philippines. Fishing in Asia is not only the livelihood of millions of people, but also a symbol of the tenacity, the desire to conquer, and the environmental and resource challenges that humanity is facing. The stingray fishing industry in Asia is a unique and dramatic part of the overall picture of the marine industry. The stingray, a majestic and mysterious creature with a flat body and wingspan that seems to fly underwater, has long been a valuable source of food and raw materials. In many countries such as Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia or Japan, stingrays are not only caught for culinary purposes but also for exporting their skin, bones and even cartilage for medical use. Catching them requires high skills and courage. Because stingrays often live in deep waters, some individuals can be several meters long. Weigh hundreds of kilograms, and even have poisonous tails that can be dangerous. Skilled fishermen must understand their movement habits, breeding seasons and even underground currents to be able to hunt them. Each trip to sea is a battle of wits between humans and the sea, where perseverance and experience determine success. The stingray fishing industry is gradually changing. As many countries begin to tighten regulations to preserve aquatic resources. But somewhere in the vast waves, the sails are still full of wind, and the cheers of fishermen still resound every time a giant stingray is pulled up, as an affirmation of the strong vitality of traditional seafaring in today's industrialized era. Stingray fishing is an experience that is both thrilling and challenging, where the angler must compete with the intelligence and strength of a fish that has a gentle appearance but hides incredible strength. Unlike common fish, stingrays often lie hidden under the sand of the seabed, using their skin color to blend in with the surrounding environment to ambush their prey. Anglers must have absolute patience, combining judgment skills and subtle feelings through each light jerk on the fishing rod. When the stingray bites the bait, the initial feeling is often very light, but just a few seconds later, the fishing line is taut as if about to break, and the real battle begins. Each stroke of the stingray is powerful and full of surprise, forcing the angler to keep a steady hand, adjusting the pulling force appropriately so as not to tear the line or lose the bait. The feeling of bringing a ray weighing tens of kilograms out of the water is an indescribable joy, not only a victory of skill but also a reward for perseverance and passion. In many coastal areas of Asia, from central Vietnam to the coast of Thailand or Indonesia, stingray fishing is not only a profession but also an elegant hobby, closely linked to the rhythm of fishermen's lives, where people and the sea blend together in a symphony of strength and patience. Stingray fishing enthusiasts often compare this to a silent battle between humans and the ocean. No noise, no rush, everything happens in silence, only the sound of waves and the line being tightened with each beat. The fun of fishing for stingrays lies in the fact that the angler must truly understand the sea, knowing when the tide is rising, knowing where the stingrays usually hide, and most importantly, having to wait patiently, sometimes for hours, even the whole day, just to get a suffocating jerk. And when the stingray rises to the surface, its wings spread wide, its silvery light reflecting in the sunlight, the angler seems to see all his efforts and passion crystallized in that moment. Each stingray pulled up is not only a trophy but also a story, about perseverance, about generational experience and love for the deep sea. It is these experiences that have made stingray fishing not only a livelihood but also a unique cultural feature of Asian fishermen, where every wave, every wind contains the soul of the ocean and people blending into one. And then when night falls, in the vast space there is only the sound of the wind whistling over the side of the boat and the light of the fishing lights reflecting on the dark water. The stingray fishermen still patiently wait. They know that stingrays are often active at night, when the water warms up and small creatures begin to move. At that moment, the sudden jerks under the handle become the opening signal for a dramatic battle. The angler must hold the rod tightly, adjust the force little by little, both restraining and waiting for the opportunity. Sometimes what is pulled up is only sand and seaweed, but sometimes, from the depths, the huge silhouette of a stingray gradually appears in the light, like a ghost of the ocean. That feeling, both thrilling and overwhelming, made everyone's heart beat faster. Then burst out when the spoils were brought aboard. The stingray was fresh, with a thick body, flexible wings. Amid the misty surface of the eastern sea, where white-capped waves gently lapped against the sides of wooden boats, there is a majestic hunt that few people have witnessed with their own eyes, the journey to catch the giant sunfish, the son of the ocean. In the coastal areas of Asia, from Japan, Korea to Taiwan or the southern seas of China, sunfish hunting is not only a livelihood but also a symbol of courage, of fisherman's knowledge combined with the natural rhythm. Giant round bodies like blocks of metal glittering in the sunlight. Each time they appear, the whole fishing village is bustling, both a challenge and a pride. This is not only a story about the sea, but also an epic about Asian people, tenacious, skillful, and full of respect for the mysterious power of the ocean. Small boats set sail at dawn, gliding lightly on the clear blue water like a giant silk strip. The sound of the engine and the waves create a lively music of the ocean, where every fisherman understands that just one sighting of a giant sunfish can change the whole trip. This fish, with a flat, round body like the moon reflecting the sunlight, can weigh up to a ton and be more than 2 meters long, making hunting a dramatic battle between man and nature. Every pull of the net, every moment of waiting contains suspense, both fear and excitement, and when that giant silver figure rises from the water, the sun seems to stop for a beat, to witness the great moment between man and the ocean, where strength, courage and passion combine to create a legend called hunting for Asian sunfish. When the giant sunfish is pulled ashore, the whole harbor seems to explode. Cheers mix with the sound of waves crashing and the wind whistling through the rusted corrugated iron roofs. The fish's 2-ton body lay still on the wet wooden floor. The steam rising from its body like a thin mist, shimmering silver in the sun. The experienced fishermen stepped closer, their eyes shining with an indescribable pride. It wasn't every day that such a great creature was caught. The fish was like a living mass of metal. Its thick, shiny skin, its giant fins fanned out like blades, and its large, round eyes still gleaming with the mystery of the deep sea. The sound of a sharpening knife rang out. A cold clang. The carver, a middle-aged man with calloused hands, the veins standing out on his tanned arms, stepped up to the fish. He had cut hundreds of them, but with the giant sunfish, each time was a ritual. The knife, longer than an arm, was dipped in salt water to prevent slipping, the blade gleaming like a mirror. A deep breath, and then, the first cut sounded like the tearing of waves against rocks. The skin of the sunfish is thick and elastic like natural rubber. Underneath is a layer of white, soft fat with a light scent of the sea. Each slice of the knife must be precise, because the most precious meat lies deep inside, between the firm muscle layer and the flexible cartilage membrane. The worker leans over, the knife glides gently, and each piece of reddish flesh is revealed, like a ray of sunlight shining through the water in the morning. The fish smell is not as strong as that of ordinary fish. It has a gentle salty scent and a faint taste of seaweed, evoking a feeling of purity and distance. Around, the assistants quickly pour water, wiping away the fish blood with thick towels. Each time the water flows through, the sunlight reflects, creating a myriad of sparkling rays, as if shining into the secrets of the ocean. The thick slices of meat are carefully lifted and placed in wooden baskets lined with ice. Some parts are kept intact to make high-class sashimi, while others will be dried, salted, or stored in cold storage for luxury restaurants in Tokyo, Busan, or Hong Kong. The carver continued his work, his eyes never leaving each piece of meat. When he reached the cartilage, he changed his knife, a large, heavy knife used to cut the hard joints of the fish's fins. The sound of the knife hitting the cartilage echoed like a sea drum. Deep and thick, each fin was separated, revealing a layer of crystal-clear tissue inside. Considered the diamond part of the sunfish, extremely rare and expensive. In many parts of Asia, it was believed that when this part was slowly cooked in broth, it would become a sticky, transparent part, and was as valuable as a delicacy, reserved for prestigious banquets. The sweat rolled down the worker's forehead, mingling with the salty taste of the sea breeze. Even though he was used to it, he still had a deep respect for each fish. "The sea gave us this gift. We must be grateful," he said softly, his voice hoarse from the wind and salt. It was the philosophy of generations of fishermen, not seeing hunting fish as a victory, but as a sacred exchange between man and nature. Snow began to fall on the Hokkaido coast on a February morning. Before the sun had penetrated the thick clouds and the water was still as cold as a dark mirror. The Japanese fishermen wore thick coats, woolen hats pulled low over their ears, their calloused hands firmly gripping the oars. They did not speak much. In the hazy white smoke of their breath, there was only the sound of the boat engine and the sound of the water lapping against the side. The sea rose gently, and within it were the silver shadows of salmon, swimming against the current of time, carrying with them millions of years of stories of nature and humanity. Japan, an island nation of distinctly changing seasons, is also one of the places where salmon are honored as a symbol of strength. Resilience and the eternal cycle of life. Every year, when autumn comes and the first snow falls, people talk about salmon as if they were talking about a sacred journey, where life begins and ends on the same river. Some say that salmon is not just a dish, but a philosophy of life for the Japanese: perseverance, endurance, and knowing how to return to their roots. Japanese salmon, especially chum salmon and pink salmon, are born in the cold freshwater of northern rivers. Then drift out to the vast ocean. There, they grow up, full of life, travel thousands of miles of sea, face sharks, seals, and even human hands. Then, on an unforeseen day, they return to the very place where they were born. Somehow, they remember the smell of the river, the smell of moss, of soil and melting ice, to find their way back to the right place of origin. That is what scientists are still amazed by, the magical chemical memory, imprinted deep in the cells. The Japanese call that journey kikan, the return. In many regions such as Hokkaido or Aomori, salmon festivals are held to celebrate the season when salmon return to the river. Local people wearing yukata release artificial salmon into the river, symbolizing fertility and continuity. Children cheer on the banks, while old fishermen stand silently, their eyes shining with pride and regret, because they understand that behind every salmon swimming upstream is a journey of life and death. Many will never reach their birthplace. They are swept away by waves, hunted by birds, or exhausted and die in the middle of the river. But for the Japanese, even that death is a beauty of dedication. When talking about salmon fishing in Japan, one cannot help but mention the sophistication and discipline of the fishing culture here. Since the Edo period, salmon fishing has been strictly regulated. People believe that catching too many fish during the spawning season will disrupt the natural balance. Therefore, although salmon fishing is an important part of the economy, the Japanese still maintain respect for nature. In Hokkaido, fishermen only catch salmon after they have finished spawning. To ensure the survival of the next generation, they use special nets, called set nets, placed at river mouths or near the coast, allowing adult salmon to be caught without harming the young ones. This system has existed for hundreds of years and is considered a testament to the philosophy of living with nature, not conquering, but in harmony. Salmon is not just a dish, but also the soul of Japanese cuisine. In each piece of salmon sushi, we can feel the flow of the sea and the mountains. The salmon meat is fresh, slightly fatty, sweet, and melts slowly on the tip of the tongue like the taste of the sea breeze. The Japanese often say that a good chef can tell a story just by slicing the fish. In Tokyo or Sapporo, when salmon season comes, sushi restaurants are packed. They don't just eat, they enjoy grilled salt salmon, salmon sashimi, salmon cooked in miso, and bright red ikura salmon roe are placed on bowls of pure white rice, sparkling like pearls. Each dish is a ritual, a tribute to the ocean. However, behind the culinary splendor lies a story full of challenges. In recent years, climate change has caused ocean temperatures to gradually warm, changing the migration routes of salmon. Japanese ichthyologists have noted that the number of salmon returning to Hokkaido's rivers has decreased by nearly 50% compared to 2 decades ago. Warm river water makes it difficult for eggs to hatch, and stronger typhoons damage natural breeding grounds. In the face of that, Japan has chosen not to fish more, but to invest heavily in science and conservation. At many research stations such as the Chitose Salmon Aquarium, people raise and release salmon artificially, study their genes, and track their migration routes with chips attached to their fins. Ko nung kon ko hoi duk gan kam bian tu khi kon no. Deroi vi nam sao, khi chung ki vi, ena khoa hok lai enan ra tin hu quen thuok. Ho goi dula, kwok hoi go giua koning guoi va tu in heen. Trong van hoa in hat, ko hoi schwat heen sa trong in gay thuat va tho ca. New by haiku mu ta hin an ko hoi inguk dong trong kung kan mua tu. Vi du, ena tho basho tung viet, ko hoi tro vi, mua tu roi ni, dong song kong doi thay. Chi ba dong, nung chua dung sa vong luen hoi shine tu kua mot lo I vat va mot triat lai enan shine. Nguoi in hat in heen thay trong ko hoi hin an kua chin ho kon nguoi luon no lu. Luon ki vi koi nguon sao bao giong bao kwok doi. Trong kathway vung non thon.